Well, yes, that is a Jeep. That was the transportation that we had. It would hold 4 or 5 people. And we drove that from Otsu, where I lived initially, to Fukui. And that was our way of getting from village to village. Generally at that time, the roads were not fully developed and there were not many vehicles available. There were some motorized scooters that some families had, but not too many. So it was just principally a rural area. My mother sent me eggs and garden seed to help with the people who were there. And for example, one time she sent 24 eggs. The only way that they could get there would be by mail, and the mail went in a ship and made this trip there. So 22 of the eggs were broken, but two left. So they were turned over to a family who got them hatched, and chickens grew. Well, that's a very good picture, and it reminds me of several things. It's a picture taken later, but of children. And children seem, they're not as much concerned with surroundings as adults, and they're happy, and the children there were very happy and very, very conscientious. Family life was very strong, and that picture is a good reminder. The clothes are a little better there than they were earlier when I was there. These are regular shoes, and at the time as I was there, the plastics hadn't come along, and shoes were limited. But for example, they wore sandals, which they could make from the stems of rice, and they all had cover for their feet. So, but smiling children and happy children, as shown in this picture, are a fond memory of Japan. As the years went on, and my wife and I had become devoted to public service as a concept and practice years before, and it just appeared that we could have a life of service longer out of the military service. The retirement regulations were such that I would have had to retire in the mid-50s, for instance. And I was at West Point on the faculty at the time, and so we decided to then leave the service and go into private church-related education. First, it was where I had experience. I also had experience at Otsu, but not of the same type. And the Fukui people were so genuine and so kind, and I thought so deserving. University of Findlay today is a very forward-looking institution. It has good leadership in its president and board of trustees, has faculty and staff which are very capable, programs which on balance and in the variety of the best of its type in Ohio, and just a devoted to students in a very good way. And it's a first-rate institution. The campus is a safe, secure, and forward-looking. Many years ago, it was much smaller. And when it was much smaller and growing bigger, the faculty and staff and the people associated with the university developed the habit of being willing to change. And thus, as higher education has changed in America and young people have different demands, Findlay has been able and willing to change more than many other institutions. That's an underlying reason that it's doing better today than many other institutions. First, obey your mother and father. 2, learn to do a few things well. If you're in school, do well in school. If you're learning a sport, do that well. If you're learning to garden from your parents, to do that well. And to appreciate what we have, to respect the your parents and the community in which we live, and try to make the family better and the community better, and then aspire to, as you age and go into other areas, to think of others and to look towards service toward others. As our communities all over the world have increased, there's a greater need for people to be willing to be aware of what others think and want, and to be sensitive to those needs and wants. So it's important at an early age to begin to develop the habit of thinking carefully about others, and not always thinking that they must do things exactly like I prefer them. Let them be themselves, and for us to adjust to them to be themselves.